We're going to start with the stuff on Tate because it's brain dead, and I need to take on the brain deads. Let's go to 1420. That's number one.
Gross. We haven't really talked about this guy on the show, but Andrew Tate, the bald influencer, because I think it's really important to look. Bald men can be very attractive and you know, own it. They can own it, you know?
Yes.
And then sometimes if a bad man is bald and feels bad about it, it's okay to make fun of him, I think.
I agree.
Right?
The man is a self-described misogynist. We can say whatever the fuck we want about him.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just pause right there.
He's
You already see who you're dealing with, right? First of all, talking about his bald head. Can you imagine? Just flip the roles for a second. Flip the roles. Do you remember when it was all that talk? People were saying, oh, about Jada Pinkett Smith and talking about her being bald, and everybody was like, oh, you can't do that. You can't. Why is it okay here? Why is it okay here, ladies, to go in and dig in? How do you know he's unhappy with his bald head? I heard him say that he shaved his head bald because he didn't want to deal with his hair and he was a young kid. You guys ever heard that story? He was a young kid and it was like a hassle and he didn't want to worry about a haircut. It just seemed like something he didn't want to. He had more important things to think about maybe. So he shaved his head bald. I happen to think it's a good look on him to be. And not everybody can pull that look off. We all know that. But can you imagine going after the guy? Now, so immediately, and I have issued this warning on Twitter, and I've issued this warning everywhere. The second you hear someone talk about Tate and say he's a self-described misogynist, you know they're either, you know, bought and sold by the system. They read an AP report, they swallowed it, they spit it out, or they're a moron, right? They're a moron. Or they just hate him so much that they know that's not true and they regurgitate it for you anyway because they're counting on you being an idiot. So that's what we're dealing with here. One of those three. I'm not really sure which one it is with these two women, but let's keep playing and maybe we'll find out.
Accused of raping multiple women. He's been in Romanian custody now for several weeks, not long enough, in my opinion. Details have emerged from the original case where he was accused of raping a woman, and it's really stomach churning. It's really awful. Apparently, the new evidence in this case includes WhatsApp messages that Andrew Tate sent to the woman that basically are like, yeah, I raped you and it was great.
And I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it. It made me feel great. It turned me on.
So,
you know,
this is what women look like who do no individual independent research. These are talking heads. It's like B-list talking heads because the talking heads are sitting on the news channels and network TV, right? This is like podcast talking heads. Again, why does an accusation equal guilt? How scary is that? You got a bunch of women talking here, cackling heads. He's guilty. Why? Because he was accused. So is that the new barometer? Well, it is for these women. And you can only guess how these women probably covered the Kavanaugh trials and how they covered, the hearings. It's felt like a trial, to be perfectly honest. Accusations equal guilt for them. Good to know, ladies. Good to know. If you're ever accused of something, I'll be out here screaming that you're guilty. How does that work for you? Or does it only go for people you don't like? She says, oh, not long enough. He's not in jail long enough. Based on what? Have you done any independent research? No. She cites evidence, right? She says evidence. Where is the evidence? So what does she say? Oh, there's WhatsApp messages. Now, you know that. We've dug into this a million times. You do any independent research and you see that these are one-sided messages. They've leaked out. We see what Tate is saying. We don't see what the girl is saying before or after. We don't have a conversation here, right? So how easy is it to take something like this out of context? Just know that these women exist. These women will comment on you. And this is how they approach things, right? Because there is an anti-man sentiment among these women. They are very comfortable making an assumption that any man, just by virtue of being a man, is guilty, even if they haven't done anything. There is no due process, in their opinion, because they're sitting like saying, oh, well, women have been oppressed by men for so many years, so now it's time to get revenge. This is a revenge mindset, 24 hours a day by some very, very bitter women. All right, let's keep going.
He's a disgusting person. And he deserves everything bad that could possibly happen to him. But I think the reason that we can't just ignore him forever, even though it'd be great if we could, is that there's a lot of young men who are really into him, who think he's great. And this is kind of happening at the same time that a bunch of other things are happening. Young men are having less sex than... in recent history, for as long as we've been keeping, sex tabs on everybody. Young men aren't having sex. The young men aren't having sex, and they're really mad at women because they're not having sex. And the people who are mad at women for not having sex are the same people that are sort of championing laws that make it less safe for women
let's
to
pause
have
this
sex,
for a second because now she's going to go into some political rant that's nauseating. So again, she has felt comfortable. She did no independent research. She knows nothing about the case. She doesn't know anything about evidence or lack thereof. And this is how she labels him: disgusting person, deserves everything that's coming to him, everything that bad that comes his way. Just think about women like this. Women like this exist. There's a lot of them. I'm telling you, go back and look at my commentary. You can go search on Twitter during what was going on with Kavanaugh. I cannot tell you how many prominent women were like, oh, believe her, believe her. Believe what? Believe what? There was no evidence. There was no proof. So there are, the lesson here is that there is an increasing number of women in this society who have been programmed to want to equate an accusation with guilt when it comes to men because they can't stand men. There is a deep sense of man hating that is going on. And women are told that that's a good thing, right? Because men do bad stuff. So you have to be distrustful of men on second one. That's the programming. So if you don't want to be that person, if you're a woman out there listening to this, just take a minute and think about what messaging is coming down the pike. Are you comfortable? Do you have, let's say do you have a brother? Ladies, do you have a brother? Do you have a son? Do you have a cousin? Do you have a friend who's a guy who you would want to have due process, who you would want to have the benefit of somebody has to actually come forth with evidence before he is punished for something that he very well may didn't do? Well, then stand up to women like this. Stand up to women like this. Okay, now she's going to get into a little politics. We're not going to do a lot of politics today because, frankly, I watched 5 minutes, if that, of the State of the Union last night, and it left me like a little bit my acid reflux had returned. You know, I don't know what to say, but Joe Biden is not great for the acid reflux. So we're not going to do a lot of politics today, but this is important because this involves the messaging of a lot of guys in this space who are saying, take care of you, be personally responsible, all that stuff. And by the way, if she's so worried that, oh, men aren't having sex and men are taking it out on women, then she should love Andrew Tate. She should love Andrew Tate because Andrew Tate is a guy who's out there saying, if you're not having sex, you need to figure out what you're doing wrong. Do you have your you-know-what together? Are you financially secure? Are you financially stable? Are you obese? You need to fix that. Are you in shape in the gym? Are you somebody who has a plan? Are you someone that a woman can lean on and depend on? He is calling for accountability among men. So it just goes to show you how little these modern women know about a guy who's inspiring people to fix that problem themselves. They just want to cast blame. Nasty. If you like the short clip and want to watch the full episode, click here. And if you want to connect with me one-on-one on Connect, you're going to click right here. Let's get to talking.